Diamond C Fundamental for Success number 2, do extraordinary work. Figure out what ordinary, average work looks like and put forth the extra effort to do it better and go beyond ordinary. Strive to differentiate yourself, your work, and your team's work through doing work that is extra special, extra valuable, and exceptionally high quality. Going the extra mile is what separates us from the crowd and makes us extraordinary. So Arlindo, thanks for joining me for a few moments today to share some of your perspective on what it means to do extraordinary work. This idea of doing extraordinary work has always been a driving force at Diamond C since day one, and the way we've developed our product and business and team and all. And I know for you too, as a supply chain professional and even as an athlete. So I'm curious to hear from you. Why would you say that this fundamental and ambition to do extraordinary work is critical to a person's growth and success in supply chain or any other job?
Thanks for having me. It's a topic that I love, and it's a pleasure to be here, Jeffrey. So I believe that it's been, I think, more competitive. Things have been more competitive than ever out there, and it is, like you said, critical to our success that we go and do extraordinary work. I like to look at this from two different angles. There are things that we do that are, I call that bucket performance and execution. There are things that I do and my team and I do that are possible to measure objectively. Let's say delivering products on time to customers is one of our primary responsibilities. If we talk about delivering product lead times, right? Delivering products faster, we can measure this. We have data out there that shows how the industry is performing, how other different industries are performing, and how we are getting better over the years. So that is something that we have that mark to, we have that feedback to know that if we are or are not doing extraordinary work.
Absolutely.
There is the other side of this that is equally important, but typically overlooked. There is the creativity aspect, right? So Jeffrey, I made a mistake over the years. It took me too long to learn that creativity is a process and a skill that can be learned and developed. So I used to put a label on people like creative and not creative.
Right.
And I used to call myself an individual not creative. So when I look at that creativity differently, I realized that it's something that I could get better over time. So I committed myself to doing so. And I learned how this can make an impact to businesses, to customers. So today, and that's the other side of this, right? As a leader, I try to inspire my team to be creative, to think out of the box, to solve problems in a different way that can be faster and better. And again, this is equally important to just the performance side, right? It can really give us an advantage and create value to the customers.
Absolutely. So doing extraordinary work is critical for the growth and success of your team and supply chain and anyone else that's striving for growth and success as a way to gain a competitive advantage, I think is what you started with, is competitive advantage, or you said it's more competitive than ever out there. Yes. And I love this. I've heard you say before this something like every morning every morning that somewhere in the world there are a million other people waking up to do the same job as you, and one of two things can happen.
Yes, that's a good point. So I think this goes back to how do I make sure my team and I are doing extraordinary work? And I think I was telling you back then that I have a very strong sports background, and I learned a lot through sports. So going back to my childhood in Brazil, I think the biggest lesson that sports gave me was like confronting reality, right? It's pretty competitive out there. So at a very young age, I had to deal with the pressure of playing soccer in a team where there were 22 players and only 11 would get to play. That was my first like wake up call to say, oh my God, if I can't be better than somebody else, I'm not gonna get the minutes. So I still bring those lessons, and I'm gonna call that like confronting reality. And you're right. I mentioned to you that one way I see life is that it's pretty simple. It is every morning there is somebody out there waking up on a Monday morning to do the same job or a very, very similar job to what I do. And two things can happen. He can be better than me or I can be better than him. The same goes for us as a company. All right, it's as simple as that. Yeah. And the same goes for my team. So it is, I think the other lesson I learned in the past is that you talking about doing extraordinary work, you get to, if you look at the things that you can measure objectively, you get to a point where you are performing well, and then you get to a point where you are doing very well, and then you get to that, and then to go to the, and then most of the teams will sit down, take a moment, and say, "Hey, we are good enough," right? Yeah. And to be the best, it takes that degree of mental toughness, right? And for me as a leader, is a big responsibility to inspire people to do that extra effort, to be the best or to be among the top 10%, the top 5%. It is very important. But I also learned that this translates into value to customers. This brings value to the business. So it is a big responsibility for me as a leader to inspire people to do that and to lead by example, to do that in my own life. Yeah.
So what's your formula for doing extraordinary work? I'm picking up on, you said mental toughness, yes. This idea of, being willing to go that last mile, extra mile that when everyone else bows out and pats themselves on the back and says, that's pretty good job, team. You're saying we've got to be willing to and hold ourselves accountable to going that extra mile. And that's where that mental toughness comes in. And then creativity.
Yes.
Right. And then creativity. I just finished a book called Barbarians to Bureaucrats. And one of the underwriting themes throughout the book is that creativity is one of the sole and primary purposes of leadership, is to create value, to create solutions, to harvest opportunities. And so I love that you view doing extraordinary work through this idea, this lens of creativity as a part of that process, to do something that's truly special, as the fundamental says, extra special, extra valuable. It's not ordinary, right?
Yes.
It's not ordinary.
And another thing that I say sometimes is people immediately, when you talk about extraordinary, people immediately jump to hard work.
Oh, yes.
But it's not enough. Sometimes we got to be open to other things that is not only hard work.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the most commonly misunderstood things about doing extraordinary work is this idea that hard work, even diligent work, equals extraordinary work. And maybe where that disconnect comes is this idea of who gets to decide what is extraordinary and what is not. That's one of the things that's always been a motivating factor to me with this fundamental and this idea of extraordinary since shortly after I started here. This idea of extraordinary and differentiation was kind of our only hope and our only strategy to compete way back then, for sure, at that point in time. And so I was always really concerned with what is ordinary, what is everyone else doing, what are our customers expecting, what is ordinary to our customers, and then doing whatever we had to do to make sure that we were not in that ordinary bucket.
Right.
That we were not in that ordinary bucket. But that what I'm getting at there, the key differentiator is it's the customer's idea about what is extraordinary that matters, not mine. I can have grand visions for some new idea, new project, and I've done this before. I've introduced a few new products over the years and ideas that I thought were just amazing, and learned some really hard lessons when customers didn't think they were extraordinary. And we had worked really hard and really diligently and put our heart and soul and effort into it, but it wasn't our opinion that mattered. So I think that's one of the things that we all have to be careful with this fundamental is if we're committed to using extraordinary work as a differentiating strategic advantage, we have to be really careful to look around and observe what is ordinary and who gets to decide what ordinary is, and then engage with that customer, be it an external customer, the people out there buying our traders, investing in our traders, or our internal customers. Your supply chain, you have 600 internal customers to make happy. Yes. So what are their expectations, and what is ordinary to them, and then how can your team do extraordinary work to make them happy? They're the ones that get to judge, right? Not you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's, you said reality check. That's a critical part of this fundamental. And the reality of doing extraordinary work is knowing who our customer is, and what matters to achieve that extra mile, what matters to achieve the extraordinary other than just hard work and diligence. So thank you for that perspective. That's really enlightening for me and others, for sure. So for anyone out there that is striving for extraordinary, we challenge you to do just that, to look around, to be careful to observe what is ordinary, and then to commit yourself to going beyond ordinary. Be careful to discover what that extra mile is that really matters and makes a difference for your work. Be careful to discover that extra mile that makes a difference for your work, and then be diligent in pursuing that. Commit yourself to pursuing that extra mile that differentiates your work from the crowd and makes it extra special and extra valuable. It's a competitive advantage. That's a big part of it. It's not an easy journey. It's not an easy journey at all. It's not a perfect journey, but it's one that at Diamond C we're absolutely committed to. It's one that we know makes a difference for the growth and success of our team members and our customers and our community abroad. And for that reason, it is a worthwhile ambition.